I watched my dad work construction for many years. One day, while he was working in Brooklyn building a hospital called Woodhull Hospital, he was a day laborer. He was digging this ditch to help build this hospital. He got caved in from the waist down. They carry him home and they sit him at the kitchen table. And he says, because I don't ever want you to go through what you see me going through. And I bought that first property in 1999.
So this is the Real Estate Dads podcast. We want to hear about your kids, and
Okay.
and you had a very when I heard you on Raise Masters, you had some really good insights on the Vanderbilts about how they did not do a good job of raising their financial education for kids and family wealth.
Yeah. So for me, this all goes back to something that's heavy for me. It's my dad, right? I watched my dad work construction for many years. And while watching him work, he would always come home. I was that child he would call in to take his boots off whenever I wasn't running and hiding. I was about 7 years old. So he'd work construction, come home. Not none of my other brothers and sisters, he had me take his boots off. So I would consistently take them off. And one day, while he was working in Brooklyn building a hospital called Woodhull Hospital, he was a day laborer. This is in the 70s. Back in the 70s, you literally had to stand outside and look for work being a minority. It wasn't nothing like you were in the union. It was nothing like that. I'm a 70s baby. And while he was digging this ditch to help build this hospital, he got caved in from the waist down. So I'm outside with my brothers playing, and they carry him home and they sit him at the kitchen table. I didn't run to take his boots off this day because wanted to know what happened. So I'm peeking in and he calls me in and take his boots off again. He says to me while I'm taking his boots off, he says, "Do you know why I have you take my boots off?" So I'm saying to myself, finally, he's going to tell me. It's like the origin of a superhero story, that origin story. And he says, because I don't ever want you to go through what you see me going through. What I took from that, it wasn't the lesson of hard work that he was trying to give me by watching him work and come home every day. It was about how hard work breaks your body down and it rips you apart. And you need to find other ways to make money besides hard work. So when I got my own job working for Verizon, much years later, and I rented an apartment, I understood the value of not working hard and where was it going to get me? Because my dad wanted to own real estate. And like I mentioned in the 70s, getting loans as a minority in those areas wasn't possible. The Housing Fair Act from 1968, which was passed, for those who I kind of love history a lot, understood that it allowed for minorities to be able to get loans. But in 1968, 1970, you still wasn't able to get loans no matter how much that federal decision was made. States still weren't letting people get mortgages in the cities. And that impacted us. It impacted my dad, who wanted to own real estate. So once I was able to have a job and I started renting and I was paying somebody's rent, paying my rent, which was paying somebody else's mortgage, that didn't feel good. I got it. I said, what am I doing here? This is not the picture my dad painted for me. So I wanted to buy my own house, and I bought that first property in 1999. And when that happened, I knew I needed to hand down what he gave to me to my children. I understood that buying this real estate, when I bought that first property, I gutted this property out. It was a brownstone. It needed work. I gutted it out from the basement all the way up to the third floor. You can see the roof. And I'm standing in this basement. There's no plumbing. There's no electric. And I'm amazed at this thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm standing there looking up saying, my dad will be so proud of me if he could see right now what I've done. And this is a picture of my dad right here. That's him right there. And when I said to myself also, I never want to do this work again, because I created a job by doing that hard labor. So I wanted to real estate that I could make money and didn't have to be a landlord, which is one of the most dirtiest kept secret amongst real estate investors. We won't tell other people who buy real estate the nightmares of being a landlord. It's one of the worst horror stories because we don't want to deter you. So we only talk amongst it in our own little circles. But when I bought that first property in Indianapolis for $8,000, I got a property management company. Property was tenant occupied. Section 8 was paying $800, which I love government programs because they're never late on rent. I paid $40,000 for the property. The monthly payments was like $450, $500, and it was making $800 a month. And that was money that I was just making. I didn't have to manage. So once I saw the process work, I started buying more and more and more. And next thing you know, within 5 years, I had a portfolio of over 15 properties and walked into Verizon and I said, I'm gone. Y'all can have the rest of my pension. And I left.
Wow. That's incredible. How were you buying these deals creative, with like creative financing? Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of properties to buy with a job at Verizon.
Yep. Here's also how it worked. What I did was I was using my job salary, but also the combination of partnerships. Being that I was getting this money coming in and buying properties out of state, if I'm buying a $40,000 property, it's going to be like $8,500. So that's my tax returns, which is some of the biggest money we screw up with as people. We get our tax return and we want to ball out. We want to inherit another bill. We want to buy a car. We want a vacation. So I took that tax money and I started saving every week at least $100 or $200. And I tell people, if you save $100 a week and that's 52 weeks in a year, that's $5,200. And now you add your tax return, which the average person would probably get around $5,000, $6,000, depending if you have children. Now you have $11,000. You can buy another house. So that one house, next year you do the same thing and you're doing your tax returns on that real estate, which a lot of us need to understand the importance of doing taxes. Mm-hmm. Being able to have your LLC as a property manager, to have a home office, to write off your expenses, your light, your gas, depreciation on your car, all those things that we kind of take for granted because we don't want to have the education I don't want to put it like that because I don't want to sound too harsh, and I can be harsh at this age in my life. We don't want to do the necessary work to ask people, how did you do it? We would see somebody who lift weights, have a great body, and we'll go, what gym you go to? But we'll see somebody that has a portfolio doing well, and we won't ask them, how did you get that portfolio? So that's the way I really accumulated. And I got partners. I spoke to other like-minded people that was in my circle and said, look, do you want to go half on this real estate deal? Had an attorney set up the LLCs. And now with two partners, instead of me taking $8,000 to buy one property, his $8,000, my $8,000, that's two properties. Now, and then then next year, another partner. But here's the thing. A lot of people go, why would I want to have a partner on a property and the returns are not going to be that great? You know, I'm going to make $200, $300 on a property. Well, here's the real picture you need to wrap your head around. If it costs $10,000 to buy a property to make $500 a month, and you only have $5,000, you're actually making 100% of your $5,000 because you don't have 10. The other person has 5, and now that's 10,000 together. You're making 100% of what you do have. Yeah. But if you do have $10,000, why wouldn't you want to buy two properties? And now when you do your taxes, you're not writing off one property. You're writing off two properties. You're writing off 4 properties. Yet having partners and being equal and doing your taxes and looking at the bigger picture, you'll be unstoppable. But it's our selfishness in a lot of people that kind of bring us down.